All right, guys, it is WAN show time. We had a couple people. We've got people complaining that we're an hour late. We are not an hour late. Daylight savings time is a thing here in the Canada. Well, not in all of Canada, but we've been
Part
through
of the
this.
Canada.
We've been through this last week, so I'm not going to spend too much time on it. I actually just realized that I don't have my headphones on me, so I'm not monitoring the audio. So for all I know, they're not hearing any of this. Rock on. So anyway, here we go. I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that we actually have audio. It looks like we do. So got people being like, no sound, no sound. I love you guys. I love you so much. Hey, Brandon, speaking of no sound, can you center the camera for us? I think it like fell. Thanks, man.
I don't know how this happens all the time.
I don't even get it.
Ghost phantom camera movers.
I know exactly how it happens. I'm usually the one who moves it by accident. No, because the tripod is not actually secured very well. Here, Brandon, just look over here.
But what are you doing in here all the time?
I'm borrowing the lens or stuff like that. So,
Oh,
or like turning off the camera because you guys, we're in a really small room.
like actually really small.
Like really small. So the camera is on a tripod where like the back legs are like vertical and the front legs like out like this. So the camera is like right against the wall. I can barely reach the power button. All right. So we got a great show for you guys today. Actually, fantastic show. Google has begun talking about their smartwatch OS Android Wear. So this is a type of Android that when it bites other Androids, they become infected. And not Wear Android?
Nope.
No, Android Wear, not Wear.
I got it.
It was a joke.
Yeah.
It was a rather clever one. So Android Wear is going to be an OS that is specifically optimized for wearables, and one of the first products we're going to see is the Moto 360, which has people internally here at Linus Media Group anyway extremely excited because it's round.
Well, that brings in my I tried.
Hold
to
on, we're not
keep
getting into this topic yet.
Oh.
You have to do your introductory topics, then the intro.
I got so excited. I was ready to go.
I know we
Anyways,
gotta tease the audience. Don't just,
my teasing articles
put out entirely right up front.
is that there's something called Project Morpheus coming from Sony, which has to do with VR, and there's something more direct called Developer Kit 2 coming from Oculus, which is about VR, and we'll talk about both those things in their hopefully entirety later. And there's also a documentary released by Valve, which some people are either on either side of a fence for, and that fence seems to be completely hating it or completely loving it. So we'll talk about that later as well.
All right. Bam. Our sponsors this week are Squarespace.com and Dollar Shave Club. Squarespace is the easy way to create a beautiful website for your business or store or blog or portfolio without as much effort as other solutions and keep it super functional on multiple platforms, whether it's mobile or desktop or whatever else. So you can visit squarespace.com/Linus for more details on that, as well as Dollar Shave Club, the service that allows you to shave time and shave money. And they've got a great commercial where they basically explain, with many expletive deleted, well, at least one expletive deleted,
At least one.
the value add of having razors shipped to your door every month for less than what you'd pay if you went to a store and did it, and with much less hassle because you don't have to wait for them to unlock Fort Knox to get out your razor blades, because that's freaking ridiculous. You know,
That is kind of ridiculous.
okay, this is unrelated to my Dollar Shave Club like sponsorship spot here. So thanks to Squarespace and Dollar Shave Club for sponsoring the episode today. But do you remember when they started doing that?
Yeah, I thought it was really weird.
Yeah, it was like, it must have been about 5 years ago. They started doing it at the stores here. And I was actually like, I started shaving before they did that. And then it happened while I was shaving. And I was just like, one day I went to the store and I was like, And then I was at London Drugs. There wasn't a
Yeah.
single person anywhere that could possibly help me with anything. Like, when's the last time, other than cosmetics,
Yeah.
when's the
when
last
there's
time you
always
saw
someone there.
someone to help you?
Yeah.
And I mean, we
Well,
had this problem at
I've
Home
told
Depot
you-
yesterday, or the other
Yeah,
day too.
that was actually pretty brutal.
That was
I've
ridiculous.
told you what I do for razors.
Right.
I just like grind it against my face.
Okay, we gotta get you hooked up with Dollar Shave Club. You know what? Okay, if our Dollar Shave Club guy is watching, we need to get him hooked up with Dollar Shave Club because it's actually pretty
I
terrifying.
actually grow a beard pretty quick, and I've been using the same razors for like a year. I just shave in the shower and just go over it a whole bunch of times.
That is horrible. That's like horrible for you. Like, it really is. I'm not even...
I know.
Okay, like, sponsor message aside, that's bad for you, dude.
I know. But it's just like, I'm way too lazy to go, because every single time I get there, I'm just like, I'm done. I just leave. Because I hate finding people in stores, and even if I can find someone, I hate talking to salespeople.
Well, they're just opening a cabinet for you.
Like-
It's not like you're
like-
buying them at a car
I
dealership.
know, but it just sucks.
Speaking of car dealerships, we're super mad at them.
Should we just jump into that right now?
We should just jump right into
go
that
to it
right
right
now,
now.
because I'm like super mad. I get the feeling that we're going to be talking about this like every week for
Yeah.
the next, like, I don't know how long. Where the hell is this link?
Remember, we can use the... Nope, it's not
Where
there.
was it? Ohio. There we go. Ohio auto dealers support an anti-Tesla direct sales bill. Really? Really? They support the anti-Tesla bill, and now my screen sharing isn't working because that's how angry I am right now. That's like the level of anger that's going on. Is that even plugged into the right thing?
Your anger just like flowed? Is that... Yeah, flowed into the... Flowed?
Too much anger. I think it's going into the AverMedia thing. So anyway, here, do you want to like walk them through this in the meantime?
Okay, so Ohio, like, obviously, I don't know why anyone would think otherwise. Oh, you just moved the camera. Ohio auto dealers are trying to push the bill that will stop Tesla from opening stores outside of its only 2 locations in Ohio. So you don't let them sell directly to the customer. You're not letting them sell, like, oh man. They're taking legal action against them, but it didn't fall in their favor, blah, blah, blah. But it might because they're in big pockets and they have tons of money and they're probably
They're
gonna
in
push
big
it even
pockets?
more. Yeah.
Do you even listen to yourself?
Yes. That wasn't as bad as coming with a brick.
Come with a brick. That's fantastic. All right, I just plugged it into a different capture card because that is how baller we are now.
So a lot of the auto dealers don't want to sell Tesla vehicles, but they don't want Tesla to be able to sell their own vehicles, which is kind of ridiculous. I can fully understand the auto dealers not wanting to sell Tesla vehicles because they're stupid, but I can't fully understand
Not
them.
Tesla vehicles are stupid. Auto dealers are
Yes,
stupid,
yes,
and we hate
yes.
them.
But I can't understand they're like, yeah, we don't want to sell them, but you can't sell them either. I get where they're coming from, but that's way worse and should never be allowed to be a thing.
So basically, this just comes down to who's got the deep existing relationship and not what's actually best for the consumer or best for a free and open market. I mean, okay, so here. There's some big problems here. So we have another article on this that's actually from jalopnik.com where Patrick George, the writer there, I'm just going to go ahead and bring this up on the screen, figures, and this was, so his early estimate when he was just digging into the public record, figures that the Ohio senator behind the new bill, who was the same one who tried to sneak this into some stupid traffic legislation at some point earlier. The same guy who's behind it has taken, so he figured $7,500 since 2009 from the Ohio Automobile Dealers Association Investment Group. Then there's an update to the article and it's like, okay, well, it turns out that he got way more from car dealers than I was able to find. Media Trackers reports between 2002 and 2013, Patton received $42,825 from state and national auto dealership owners, employees, and political action committees.
Honestly, I would fully expect it to be more than that, too.
It may very well be more than that. But,
like, that's what they know of. Like, come on.
but this is a big fundamental problem. How can we expect the world to move forward if we just take these existing incumbents who just have deep pockets to just buy whatever they want and allow them to do this.
Last week we talked about it, and you went slightly on the defensive when saying about how it takes people a long time to adapt to different things.
Yes.
And like the selling directly from the retailer and all that kind of stuff, and that kind of makes.
I proposed a compromise.
Yeah,
not a banning
No,
of it.
I'm not
Okay,
saying that.
alright.
I'm just saying like that was brought up, and that's actually kind of interesting and kind of makes sense. But when people are taking this kind of a stance, that's not really okay.
Okay, so here's a quote from this patent Yahoo. The state legislature years ago recognized having distinct roles for auto manufacturers and dealers fosters competition in the marketplace and provides consumers with a system of checks and balances to ensure that warranty and service issues are administered fairly, he said in an email. Senate Bill 260 simply reinforces a standard set of rules for all manufacturers and dealers to follow, which benefits both the industry and consumers. When was the last time anyone, anywhere, had a good experience with a car warranty issue at a dealership? I would love to hear from you guys. Hit us up on Twitter if you have had a good... At Linus Tech on Twitter, right there. If your manufacturer warranty experience at a dealership was fantastic, all Tesla is asking for is A, to cut out the middleman, and they're not blameless here. They really are just trying to reduce overhead, which isn't necessarily bad. But the other thing that they're asking for is to control the customer's experience because they don't feel like dealerships deliver a great one. And I forget where the link was last year, but I think it was something like 9% satisfaction polls.
Well, did I tell you about when I was shopping for my car?
Car salesman or something like that.
When I was shopping for my car, I knew the exact model I wanted.
Yeah.
And we spent the entire day just going to dealership to dealership to dealership. I'd like walk around for a little bit and then just leave. And I was like, I just hate these guys. I'm just like, I can't do it. And like, I'd get hounded, and then I talk to them for a little bit, and then I just be like, "Oh, sorry," just leave.
There's a great episode of Dexter where he kills a car salesman, and the guy just like is amazing. Like the actor did a really great job of being a car salesman, but the scary part of watching it was the car salesman was exactly like every car salesman I've ever encountered. It's like, oh, you've got a 2-year-old son? So do I. And I'd be looking at them, I'm like, yeah, you're like 65. No, you don't. It's just ridiculous. Anything to like build the relationship with the customer and make them feel comfortable giving them thousands of dollars.
We went with the angle, I paid for my car, but we went with the angle so that they thought it was my parents.
Right,
so that I could easily be the one actually managing everything, but they were targeting my parents. So he heard our last name and then asked my dad where he's from. Oh, they ended up going to the same school and like all this crap. And I was like, probably not. Luckily, all that junk is focused at my dad, even though I'm the one actually making the purchasing decision. That was one of the smartest things I've ever had my mom do. Was like, let's make them think we're buying it. That was so smart because it made it so much easier. Anyways.
Anyway, so I guess that's about it.
Luckily, we don't have to talk about it for very long because we're probably going to have to talk about it every single week.
Yeah, I know, right?
As new states and new things come into play.
One
thing that you said earlier that I thought was hilarious, this was a few days ago about this thing.
Yeah.
It was like, you were like, I thought this was America.
Yeah, I thought this was America. You know what's funny about that is direct sales already exists in Canada. It's like, America, you're falling behind, like, Canada in your Americanness. Like,
Come on, freedom train.
We're actually, like, rooting for you over here.
You guys can do it. I believe in you.
We want everyone to have the right to buy the vehicle they want, the way they want, without dealing with greasy used car salesmen or new car salesmen. I don't think the new ones are better than the used ones. They're not like condoms that way. All right, so let's head back over to my screen here. What? Google is officially getting into wearables, is the first line of this article, which, Dante, I mean, come on, is that really the headline here? I mean, Google Glass was... I mean, it goes on your face. If anything, it's more wearable than a smartwatch. But it's okay. It's okay. I still like the article. So, smartwatches coming soon from some of the partners that they've announced, including Motorola, Samsung, LG, and more. The one that you're looking right there is the Moto 360, which has a round display and with a very, very classic styling. Looks a lot more like what we would expect a watch to look like as opposed to just being a smartwatch. Now, I've seen some smartwatches smart smartwatch designs. Haven't had my hands on too many of them yet. I have a Pebble Steel coming.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to ping Motorola about getting my hands on one of these. And I've had some people requesting that I look at the Sony smartwatch too. I reached out to my contact there, but it's like a Canadian contact, so they often don't have access to stuff.
Yeah.
But if I can't get one from them, I'll just buy one. And I definitely want to talk more about these wearables. But I've seen some really smart ones that include things like a classic analog watch under a transparent screen. And I think something like that is...
I told you about that. That's the thing that I didn't want to put in the show yet. But like I told you about that months ago. About how that should have been a thing. How they have a normal watch with a screen on top of it so that it can be a smartwatch or a classic watch. That makes so much sense.
That makes a ton of sense to me, but for someone like me who doesn't really care about the classic watch look, I would probably still go with something more like the Moto 360. So basically it's going to be running a very, very lightweight OS. You're going to have the ability to obviously pair it with your other Android devices. You'll be able to use things like voice control, so Google Now, something that doesn't come up in everyday conversation that much. Unlike Xbox.
My buddy Nick and I were hanging out last night working on something, and I had my phone up, and he had his phone up. And he decided to set a calendar event. He's like, okay, Google, and they're like, whoop, whoop. I was like, stop, no. I don't want this on my phone. Anyways, sorry, keep going.
Google's also working with fashion brands as opposed to just pure IT brands. I mean, the great thing about IT brands, we love them dearly and they deliver fantastic technology to us. The not so great thing about them is that sometimes they don't really have great fashion sense. And Apple, well, I did pick the orange one. The bad fashion sense was sort of my bad here.
So you're the IT brand.
I'm the IT guy. So when you compare that to Apple and their just beautiful fashion sense, Google doesn't want their wearable OS to be stuck as like for IT dorks like me. They want it to be something that will be accepted by the general consumer. So they will be working very closely with their partners to ensure that we get beautiful designs. Although the Moto 360, from a more traditional company, although we don't know how much influence Google had on the project because of the very brief ownership that they had of Motorola, so all of those things, looks absolutely beautiful.
And that's a big thing with watches, because watches are huge about style.
Yes.
So like it does make a ton of sense.
If we really cared about the functionality of watches, everyone would still be wearing a calculator watch. Hey, I had one that did everything. It had a backlight, it could do alarms, I could write boobies on it.
Yeah, I'm sure you could.
Did absolutely everything. So, did I miss anything there?
I don't think so. We're just kind of waiting to get one so we can do a video about it.
Yeah, there'll be more information in sort of the beginning of the summer, sort of like late June sort of time frame. There's lots of rumors flying around about Apple's smartwatch. I'm really excited to see what comes from both of them, and I will definitely get my hands on them at my soonest possible opportunity. One thing I don't like about the Moto 360, which I guess let's get into now, is that they seem to be using just kind of a traditional LCD-based screen. And for me, with a phone, I can almost, like, here, this is actually great, because I have my phone plugged into a battery bank right now.
Because it died when I tried to call him.
Right. With a phone, I can kind of accept one-day battery, because it's something that I already, like, I don't know, like, I already accept it, even though I don't know if I should. Like, our new guy, Taryn, was using some ancient... Hey, Taryn, do you have your phone here? Your old one?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah.
Taryn! Do you have your old phone here? Can I borrow it? You guys are going to love this. So he's got an old phone that he figures gets about a month of battery life. But I saw this thing and I was like, dude, you got to get with the time. So I was just like, here's a 1 mini. I know it's not the greatest phone in the world, but jeez, man.
When I first saw it, I thought it was a BlackBerry.
Yeah, if a BlackBerry was made by, like, Fisher Price. So this is like, look at the screen size. It actually doesn't even weigh anything either. It does have a keyboard on it.
Let's compare the screen size to my thumb.
Yeah, here. Thank you. So we can make fun of it because we gave him something else. But one of the things he complained about immediately switching to a modern smartphone is that, hey, the battery life sucks on this thing. I have to charge it every day. And I have been doing it for so long that I've kind of forgotten. But with watches, we're not talking about going from a week of battery on my old Nokia brick phone versus like a day of or a couple days of battery at best on a smartphone. We're talking about going from months long batteries or even like solar powered to like a day on the Gear. No. So we need to see Mirasol displays. We need to see advances in that technology. We need to see whatever it takes to keep them low power enough to run for at least 4 to 5 days would be my benchmark. Yep. If I can remember to charge it a couple times a week, then I'm okay with that.
I found when I was testing G2 that it had like actually a pretty acceptable amount, because you could go with pretty heavy use for 2 days and be totally fine. And that was pretty good, because if you forgot one night, you probably wouldn't forget the next. So that was okay when I was testing it.
So right now we don't have too many details about the 360. It's going to launch in the summer. They aren't mentioning any specs whatsoever. And I think that's going to be a common theme with smartwatches. Samsung did release some of the specifications of the Gear. So they were like, yeah, we're using kind of this processor, we're using a cut down Android, we're doing this, we're doing that. But you look at what Qualcomm did with the talk, they didn't give us any specs. I don't think anyone really... I don't think Pebble talks about what they're using in their watches at all. I think for these kinds of devices, the space race, the gigahertz race, is going to be pretty much over, and I'm okay with that. And I had someone criticize me pretty harshly on my talk review when I said I don't know what's in here and I don't care. They said, well, you're a tech head, you're supposed to care. But the reality of it is that beyond the display and the aesthetic and the software of something like a smartwatch, why would I care? All the processing is done here. All the connectivity besides,
and hopefully that will happen even more.
That's right.
We've talked about this in the past where we were talking about having a more centralized compute and then your other things just connecting to it. So hopefully that will matter even less than it does now.
If anything, the smartwatch should be as dumb as possible so that we can extend its battery life, because that'll be a better overall experience. If you can, have your wireless earpods and your smartwatch and all this stuff that just uses super low power connectivity to have something else do all the work and act as a hub, then that's going to deliver a much better experience for people who actually need to gear all this stuff up every day before they leave the house.
Yeah.
So it'll probably feature wireless charging. We'll launch first in the US, but we'll find a way to get our hands on it. No camera on board. There are some pictures and renders on the Daily Tech article here. So
it looks really nice.
Pop that. It looks absolutely beautiful, doesn't it?
Yeah.
There you go.
And the classic watch fronts look really good.
Yeah.
I'm actually pretty stoked for this too, and I haven't been super stoked for too many smartwatches yet.
So you'll be able to do all the usual stuff, check your emails, preview your text messages, all that kind of nonsense. But I'm not gonna get too hyped about it this time because I got really amped on the Qualcomm talk.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was like,
it did look a lot better.
And it's not bad.
Yeah.
It isn't a bad product.
There's just a few things, like the cutting the thing.
It's just not a finished product.
Yeah.
That was my issue with it, and it was too expensive. Although they dropped the price $100 like 2 days after my review went up. So I single-handedly take responsibility for that price drop. No, I don't. But I would have probably adjusted my conclusion about the device a little bit based on the price drop, but I would have also needed to see them going in the right direction in terms of software dev as well. I mean, one thing that I really... this isn't in our agenda today, but...
Go for it. We do that a lot anyways.
Yeah, I know. Fitness wearables.
Yep.
Fad or long-term?
I think eventually they'll just be integrated into everything else. But I think fitness is not a fad.
Okay.
So, I think it'll be something, maybe considering your smartwatch will have skin contact anyways.
Okay.
Maybe it can grab your heartbeat that way. Maybe other things can do everything that fitness wearables are currently doing, so you don't need them. Maybe your freaking running headphones that you wear can now do everything that the fitness wearable does.
Yeah, I saw one that's, I actually kickstarted it last night, I think.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah.
So, I think the idea of fitness integrated with technology that you can go on a run is only going to get bigger. But I don't know if it's going to be dedicated devices.
Are we just selling the dream to people who are out of shape?
No,
Or
not necessarily, because the main people I know that are buying these things are actually fairly in shape.
okay.
I know someone that goes for like 10 to 15K runs at least twice a week, and he's the one that always has the new fitness wearable.
Okay. Okay.
But of course, you're dealing with fitness. Some amount of it is going to be selling the dream.
Because Wii Fit sold like Billio.
Some
And
amount of it is selling the dream.
Out of the 3,130 people watching right now, I guarantee not one of you has touched a Wii Fit in like a year. Like that's the issue with these fitness wearables, is that I look at them right now in their current form and I go, well, that's stupid, because it does like one thing and it's an entire another device to carry around.
Something that I've been waiting for is a more, and like I know I'm taking this course, so of course I'm trying to apply it to everything, but I kind of always do because I think it's fantastic, but a more gamified system of fitness wearables. Like my biggest complaint with the Zombies Run 2 app is that it's not tracked enough, and there's not enough like goals and progress loops and engagement loops and stuff like that. Like there's nothing pushing me to go for my run,
Right.
other than myself. Once I get out there, I get the voice track, I get all that kind of stuff. But like the build your own base part of it is really not very well developed, and it's kind of really boring and has no real meaning. And the social integration is there, but it's kind of janky and doesn't matter.
The problem with social integration for fitness apps, in my mind, is that it helps the people who are already really active.
Yeah.
Maybe it keeps a ball rolling, but I don't think if you're not in a group of physically engaged people, like so the only real thing that I do to work out is I play badminton. So unless my whole group all are like using that app or something, and like we play all of our games with like this badminton app or something that tracks how far you moved on the court, and we can compare stats, and there's some kind of thing there, like unless it's really deeply integrated and really personalized,
Yep.
it's not that meaningful to me, and I don't think it's going to help a couch potato get off the couch. I think it's more like for your buddy who
Yep.
already runs anyway.
Yeah, and that's true, but then it has to be voluntary. Like that part of
Right.
the app has to be voluntary. You have to look for it, and you have to enable it yourself. If it's forced upon you, it's just going to hurt.
Right.
It's not a good idea. But like having those things where maybe playing Zombies Run, if I go for a run 4 or 5 times in 1 week, it can be like, you're really getting on it. It can give me some sort of badge or award or something. And then maybe I can get something in the game. Maybe they'll talk to me different or something like that.
Right.
Like some type of, so I can have some sort of a goal within the system, within the game. I think that's a good idea and could push a lot of people off the couch, because the main reason why I'm going for these runs lately is because it's fun.
Right.
I hate going for runs. It is mind-numbingly boring. But if I can listen to this audio tape, essentially, which is just giving me a storyline, which I really have no integration with, which is another thing that's terrible about that game, is there's
Right.
no actual plotted points on a map. So I just run in a circle the whole time, and they're like, yeah, let's run down Main Street. And I'm like, I'm running through the park. This is not a thing.
I think when you'll convince me, because that again is the problem with this fitness thing for me, and I think what's out there now is kind of fatty.
Yeah, but
That's
it'll
the problem.
get there,
But
I
when
think.
we see it more tightly integrated, like that laser tag system that we saw with the augmented reality, when you integrate that with a fitness element, you build a fitness app for that, so that it's designed to move your battlefield around and your objectives around, so that you have to move.
Like if they mixed like Ingress with Zombies Run, so you had to like run to a point and like take it over,
Yes.
and then keep running. Something, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Something like that is a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
And then, I've got a lot of people. Okay, I don't normally respond to these kinds of comments, but I've got a lot of people that are giving me a hard time about badminton being a workout here on the stream. So
Oh God, really?
So you know what? Okay, here we go. Right there. That's right.
This is awkward.
Right there.
I'm not a part of this.
Badminton is a workout.
I'm not a part. I wasn't on this stream.
It's the only thing I do.
I wasn't on the stream.
Bam. All right.
I'm just putting that out there.
So, let's move on to our next topic, because badminton is a thing.
This is awkward.
Amazon smartphone. The original article is from BGR.com. Oh, you know what? No, before we move into that, let's have a look at people's comments on the whole dealership thing. Ryan says, nope. Hermie says, Audi has good car salesmen. Tommy says, I work at and we don't have razors in cages there. They're alarmed and it's in front of the counter. Okay, that's better if you're
Yeah.
willing to give up that near the car salesman. or that near the counter space.
Cameron Martin is probably the point.
Hated that car salesman. Yeah. Chevy wanted me to pay $2,000 to fix one wire in the harness of my car. That was a known defect that kills audio. I did it myself for $12.
Oh my god.
Ashley says, I had a good experience, but they didn't struggle. Was your garage sale successful? Yes, it was. We're going to have another garage sale today. Never have. Many issues with recurring transmission problem. Even went to multiple dealerships. You know, my parents' SUV. That stupid, you know how the hatch doesn't open?
Yeah.
That's been there since like 6 months after they got it. They've never managed to actually fix it.
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Jimmy Penguin says, I have. Okay, that was good. Fully supported the... Okay, Infinity Dealer at Richmond Auto Mall is apparently pretty good. They always fix it up, but the coffee's lousy.
Coffee, though.
$70 for my 30K maintenance for free one day. Yeah, okay. Nope, dealerships would kill a rising up with bad experiences. I'm a kid, so this doesn't matter. Haven't bought a car yet. Are good for getting service done. I've gone to private garages for diagnostics, and they were way off. Okay.
I think that's going to vary a lot.
Well,
I think
there
a
you
lot
go.
of it, too, is going to vary between vendors as well, too.
But that's, I mean, this is good for us to know.
It
so
is,
just
yeah.
because our experience have been what they are.
Well, we have a very small
Yep.
use case.
I don't buy new vehicles. I've been shopping for new vehicles, but I've never actually
That's another thing.
bought
you and I
one
have
for
only,
myself.
Have you actually dealt with the new vehicle salesman, though?
Yeah, oh yeah. I was.
Okay. I've only dealt with used car salesmen.
When I was shopping for my wife's car, we were going to buy new, and then we ended up not. So we shopped everywhere.
I dealt with dealers that sold new cars and used cars. They weren't just used cars dealerships. They were like everything dealerships.
Right.
So I don't know if that makes any difference, but yeah. I also don't have a huge amount of experience. I've bought one car that was from a dealership. The car that I bought before that was from like just a family friend.
I apologize to whoever I made throw up
You made someone throw up?
with my tummy.
Have you like not ever watched TV or gone to a pool or something?
Yeah, no, apparently threw up.
Guys' stomachs are like not really a censored thing. Just putting that out there. You must throw up a lot.
Oh, that's great.
Moving on.
All right, yeah, let's move on. Okay.
Should we have another like this is on almost every week thing?
No.
We can talk about that.
Let's do the Amazon smartphone
Right,
rumors.
okay.
So this isn't confirmed in any way. I'll let you handle this one.
The Amazon smartphone thing?
Yeah.
I didn't really look over this a ton because I didn't really care because it's A, not confirmed, and like, what are they doing?
I don't know.
It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. The camera things for gestures, okay, so there's like 6 cameras or something? Yeah, there's 6 cameras, there's a front and back, and there's 4 for gestures.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Yep.
That's definitely interesting, but I personally, I'm not super interested in gestures on my phone. I like gestures on monitors. We saw that at CES.
Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. Gesture control built into monitors. I thought that was kind of cool, especially for touch desktop experiences. I could see it helping Windows 8.1 or maybe Windows 9 rumors a lot because of like modern UI or whatever. Because at a desktop, I'm not necessarily that close, and I don't want to be like touching things all the time, so I think that's kind of cool. But for my phone, it's always right there, and I don't really mind touching the screen. I like the tactile feedback, so I'm not really sure. I'm not super interested in that. It doesn't have the highest end screen. The battery seems like super lame. I don't know. I don't know why they're getting into the smartphone market now when it seems like all the hype is going down, but maybe that is a good time because maybe the shelf life for a phone is becoming longer because the market isn't being as pushed as hard.
Yeah, and I mean, if their whole model is that they're just going to sell you a device and then not really care at all if they make any money on it, and then instead bundle in their services or sell you ebooks or audiobooks down the line, then ultimately, what do they care? As long as it's a reasonably competitive device at a reasonably competitive price, if you're someone who's deeply entrenched in the Amazon ecosystem, which is getting easier and easier to do,
not for Canadians.
might make a ton of sense. Yeah, not so much for Canadians, but all the news we get is so US-centric anyway.
Yeah.
I had someone in the Twitch chat saying that some of what we were saying was offensive. He's a car salesman, and sorry.
It might not be you. Maybe you're the good one.
But there's always
very
got to be an
possible.
exception to prove the rule.
Yep.
And like, all I can go on is my own experience.
My personal experience has not been super great. But then I have very low amount of personal experience.
All right. So, moving on to smartphones that may actually be reasonably exciting. The iPhone 6. So there are renders, there are maybe leaks. We're looking at an ultra retina screen with a 379 pixels per inch density. Totally unnecessary. Did I say 379? Because I meant 389. That 10 extra pixels is going to make all the difference.
Definitely.
We could be looking at Apple's fastest processor yet, a 2.6 gigahertz A8 processor. This little render right here may not actually be factual at all, but the rumors are that it might be as thin as 5.5 millimeters, which is kind of berserk. So more like an iPad Air shrunk down as opposed to more bricky like the previous iPhones. We could be looking at two different display sizes, 4.7 and 5.7 inches. Which is a real departure and kind of surprising to me. Like, I would have expected them to do something more like the traditional iPhone size and then maybe a 4.7 large iPhone. I wouldn't have expected them to do a larger iPhone and like almost a phablet.
Jobs is past, man.
But the thing is, okay, like if we think about, you know, who's using...
I know what you mean, like make an option so that all the current users that want the same size phone can have that option.
And like, I'm not trying to generalize based on sex. I'm not going to say that women use iPhones and men use Android phones.
Well, Gay Ben apparently uses an iPhone.
Who?
Gay Ben.
Gay Ben? Yeah, well, okay, we'll talk about that later. But what I will say is that for people with smaller hands, and women would fall into that category, I also would, so I'm not like down on them or anything. Yeah. The iPhone is a great option because it is smaller, but it is still very high-end, very high-spec, and very feature-rich.
But you've used a bigger phone now.
Yep.
And you were totally fine with it. I'm
totally fine with it, but I went back to using my iPhone 4 not that long ago, and I was like, oh yeah, it's really easy to use.
Okay.
And, oh, this is actually something that isn't on the dock, and I didn't talk about last week. Apple fixed it. The iPhone 4 on iOS 7.1. Snappy. It's not a new high-end device or anything, but it's way better. Like, you saw it before.
Yep.
It's probably as responsive as my like cluttered up HTC One at this point for basic stuff. I mean, it hitches more from maybe more like a Moto G.
Okay.
Yeah, more like a Moto G. And that was one of the things that I had mocked Apple openly about before, was that they were positioning iPhone 4 in markets like India as a competitor for Moto G, and it was more expensive. Well, now at least it has higher build quality and it's delivering a responsive experience.
Yeah, because it was kind of a problem.
Oh, it was terrible. Yeah. Terrible for a while
there. It's kind of a really big problem.
So kudos to Apple for continuing to support. I mean, this is something that I always have to contrast against the Android experience.
Yeah.
Is I got my iPhone 4 the same time my wife got a Galaxy S Vibrant. How supported is a Galaxy S Vibrant versus an iPhone 4?
Yeah. And that's why I always leaned on Nexus devices pretty hard.
Yeah.
It's because at least with my Nexus S, I had updates for a really long time.
Did Nexus S ever get KitKat? I don't think so.
I think I stopped using it before that would have happened, so I'm not sure.
Apparently there are ROMs, if nothing else. KitKat Android 4.4, that's through CyanogenMod. Android Delta. Maybe someone in the Twitch chat can let us know. I can't remember. I don't follow phones as closely as I do lots of other things. All right, so let's see if there are any more iPhone 6. Oh yeah, there's a couple really cool leaks. So two things. The rumor is that Apple may be using, so they put in 5 patents for liquid metal, and the rumor is that it may be used to encase the phone. So there's a link to the patent here. I'm just going to go ahead and fire this up for you guys. Linus's screen. Okay, that's probably not that helpful. So there you go. Basically, that's what at least one of them looks like. But let's talk a little bit about liquid metal, because a lot of people are under the impression that liquid metal is actually liquid.
No.
But it isn't at all. What liquid metal is more of, it's strong and it's light, and it's more to do with the ease of working with it and the fact that it's difficult to scratch than like it being like liquid, like, you know, a doorway that you approach and it, like, you know, dissolves as you walk through it. Like, it's not like that. It's just the main difference between liquid metal and normal metal is that rather than having a clear melting point where we go from solid to liquid metal becomes more softer and softer and easier to mold and
Yeah.
more liquid like very gradually as you increase the temperature. So this means that you can work with it in a number of different ways. It also maintains its strength even if you heat it up and cool it down. So what happens is you can make it super liquid to the point where you can cast it, which with traditional metals is not nearly as strong as if you were to forge it or work on it in some other way. So you can cast it, and then if you're at a different temperature, you can actually mold it. So you can create very complex shapes. Another characteristic of liquid metal is that it doesn't expand and contract to nearly the same degree as more traditional normal metals do. So when you heat it up and do something with it, it's not going to just contract and deform and do something stupid. So we could be looking at some extremely beautiful, innovative designs with liquid metal, but beyond it being a little bit more difficult to scratch and lightweight, it probably isn't going to make that much of a day-to-day difference.
And they're probably not going to go way off the wall with it either. I don't expect Apple to come with some like crazy weird liquid metal design that can only be achieved by using liquid metal.
Yeah, they'll
To be
probably,
completely honest.
because Apple's design first, implementation second. So they'll figure out what they want to make, and then if liquid metal is the easiest way to do it, then they'll do it. I mean, they've been experimenting with it for a while. Back in the iPhone 3G days, some of the SIM removal trays were liquid metal. And probably people never even thought about it or
Yeah.
noticed or knew. And all they were doing was
Kind of plain.
kind of trying it.
Yeah, yeah.
You
I
gotta
remember-
wonder how often crap like that goes on.
Just have no idea what you actually. Yeah, that's probably true. Because we heard so many rumors about it back then. It was such a big deal for like a little while, and
Yep.
then it just never really became a thing. So it faded away. This is really cool. I'm gonna highlight it. Whoop.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the rumor is that we could be looking at a sapphire glass screen. So to just explain what sapphire crystal glass screen, whatever you want to call it, sapphire crystal screen.
Yes.
So to be clear, a sapphire crystal screen is going to be more difficult to scratch than the current weapon of choice, Gorilla Glass 3 from Corning, but Corning actually had a conference call earlier this month. It was about 2.5 weeks ago, where analysts were trying to kind of pick at them. Basically, they're trying to figure out what the upcoming iPhone will use, because Corning would obviously be privy to what kind of glass Apple is ordering. And if they saw a sudden dramatic decline in shipments compared to what they normally get when there's an upcoming iPhone, then they'd kind of figure out, okay, I guess they're not using Gorilla Glass 3 this time around. So what Corning had to say about Sapphire Glass is that it's about 10 times the price, and yes, it is more expensive right now. It's a lot more expensive and less environmentally friendly to produce due to the energy involved and the amount of time it takes to build the large panes of it. And it is, while more scratch resistant, not necessarily able to take more pressure. Although, one of the things that, I didn't actually read the entire transcript of the call, but one of the things the summary didn't mention was impact resistance.
Yeah.
And that's something I think most people would actually be more concerned about. What do
Than
you...
pressure? I would be way more concerned about impact than pressure.
What about impact versus scratching?
Probably be more looking at the things I've seen happen to iPhones
Or any other phone, I mean...
or any other phone, probably impact.
Right.
Because you can kind of deal with scratching, but when the entire face of your phone becomes not usable because you dropped it from a foot and it just landed at a really weird angle, I don't know. Not very cool.
Well, at any rate, Corning obviously is going to be defensive of Gorilla Glass. They did say they have a new Gorilla Glass coming sometime in 2014, Gorilla Glass 4. So that'll probably have their antimicrobial
the
agent
integrated.
integrated
You saw
in
that
it.
at CES,
Yeah,
right?
very cool.
Yeah.
So that'll probably have that. Maybe it'll be even stronger and thinner. Oh, they also said that Gorilla Glass is lighter. I think it's something like 60% lighter or something like that.
Although with how much lighter phones have been getting, I don't think that's going to be a huge deal.
Here's what Corning said. We don't know what kind of glass Apple's using, but our forecast is still 30% growth, blah, 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 blah. So whatever they're using won't have any impact on our volumes. So whatever that means.
That's weird.
Yeah. The camera on the iPhone 6 is rumored to be up to 13 megapixels. although the actual megapixels are not nearly as important as some of the other innovations we've seen in cameras over the last little while, like the dual LED flashes for more balanced skin tone and stuff like that. Okay. Ha! I called this.
What? Yep. I know what you're going into now. I'm not even at the right article, but it's yep.
I called
Alright,
this so
alright.
hard. The iHome is coming. Apple just patented a system that could put Siri in charge of your home.
We should have seen this coming.
I did.
No, but like
Oh.
this level of it.
This looks absolutely fantastic, actually. To the point where, like, it is not going to come down to Moto 360 versus Pebble. And it's not going to come down to iPhone versus HTC One. It is going to come down to whoever can build the best ecosystem that makes it so that your life is augmented in meaningful ways.
And then that watch will go along with it.
And then that you'll buy whatever watch goes with it. If the watch that when I'm sitting on my couch being a potato for too long says, hey, you're at like a super low like resting heart rate. Have you even done anything in the last 3 days? Get your ass up, go for a run, and then when I get in my car, it's like, yo dog, I said go for a run, not go for a drive. Like when we get something that's that intelligent, I mean,
I haven't seen it yet. Have you seen Her?
Who?
Her?
Her?
The movie.
Yes.
You have?
Yes, I have.
So I
That's
haven't
fantastic.
seen it. I haven't seen it yet, but like that because I've seen trailers. Is that what you're kind of talking about? Where it can like converse with you? Because that's essentially what you're just doing.
Even without the conversation, even without the conversational aspect, something that really looks for patterns in your behavior, and if you give it a set of goals, like, look, I want to be more active.
Okay.
I want to be more active. I want to lose 10 pounds.
Because some people aren't going to want to.
Some people won't want that. And some people will be absolutely terrified by this. And if I was smart, I would be too. Because this level of being aware of what you're doing and where you are and what you're saying at any given time is just absolutely scary. But in terms of an enjoyable lifestyle, if I were to just block it from my mind and not worry about the fact that someone else is watching what I'm doing, I think it could seriously enhance my life anyway.
I'm excited for this type of stuff. I'm jumping ideas again, but like what with Google just did, where they're encrypting your email all over the place.
Yeah, I was going to jump into that topic next for sure.
Yeah. So they're encrypting your email all over the freaking place. I'm excited for more personalized style cloud.
Right.
More personalized style services, and something like this where maybe you get like the Siri box, which sits in the closet in your house and just has storage and compute and connectivity and everything, and then it's all your own stuff and it's encrypted everywhere like crazy, because then the NSA is probably still going to find a way to get it.
I don't think either Apple or Google, with the way that they value your information, is ever going to offer that to you.
Yeah. But then they'll take it, but then no one else.
Okay,
and
so
then
let's...
you're going to have to figure out which one you're okay with having all of your data.
Apple's got a reasonably okay history of privacy protection, actually.
Yeah.
Like, neither of them are super scary. Google's becoming more scary.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Google's getting kind of scary lately. I was on the Google train pretty hard, probably about a year ago, maybe a little bit more. And I've dropped off pretty heavily. Because, a lot of their services are just kind of becoming junk. Just putting that out there. They're getting worse, not better.
You know what's really funny? I've noticed that, like, half of my calendar notifications don't pop up anymore. And I'm just like...
Things just seem to be getting... That's weird. Things just seem to be getting worse. I haven't seen something from them in so long.
I know, right?
Oh, major geeks.
All right, so let's move into our next topic. This is a positive thing about Google, though. So the article's on MajorGeeks.com. Geek until it megahertz.
This is definitely... Oh, man, I used to love this website.
I know. I used to be on here all the time, downloading my future marks.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
And, like, any game patches were always on here.
Yeah, dog. All right.
Sorry. Yeah, so, like, this is definitely an improvement. I know I just said everything's getting worse, but this is definitely getting better.
Okay, so let's talk about what's going on here. So Gmail has announced that they are, quote-unquote, staying at the forefront of email security and reliability by using an encrypted HTTPS connection when you check or send email. The fact that the option to turn off HTTPS will no longer be available will help users thwart the prying eyes of any number of would-be snoopers.
So is this the transition to the future? where everyone starts to hate government and government kind of seems to go away, and then it's just like, what corporate team are you on? Because like in every video game and a lot of future style movies, it's always these like giant megacorps, like by and large, that actually run everything, and then like governments either just don't exist or just don't matter.
Well, you look at how little apparently the government matters in Ohio because the car dealerships are running automotive legislation. So,
Like,
is this the future or was it yesterday?
dun dun dun. Yeah, I don't know.
Which would be funnier
Interesting.
if it wasn't actually something that's deeply concerning.
Yeah, seriously. Because, like, and something that we just talked about, which is how we were talking about how we might be more happy with Google or Apple having our data than the NSA.
Truthfully, yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Particularly Apple, I would gladly hand over the keys to, like my life to Apple compared to
If you had to.
the government. Yeah, if I had to
If
choose.
it was like one
If
or
it was
the
like
other.
gun to your head, you pick one. I'll hand it to Apple versus someone else because Apple has my best interest at heart because they need my money.
Yeah, all of your money.
But that's the difference between a government and a company is that I have to voluntarily give Apple my money.
Which is, yeah, that's a big deal.
And that's what drives this corruption in the government is that I have to give them my money whether I'm happy with what they're doing or not. If I actually had to give them my money because I was pleased with what they were doing, that would be a completely... I suspect we'd see them behave in a much more consumer, much more populace-friendly manner. So while I don't think that mega corporations are necessarily, perfect, because they're not...
No. No.
Would we rather have a mega corporation that calls itself the government? I mean, did you see that recent scandal over the what was it? Canadian metals, millions wasted. I'm gonna see if I can find it. But like the Canadian government wasted some ludicrous amount of money awarding medals to like members of the government for whatever they were doing. Some guy won like 3 and refused them all because he was like looking at this program going, this is absolutely obscene. How many millions of dollars of taxpayer money did you spend on like patting ourselves on the back for doing a good job? Are you insane?
Yeah.
I wish I could find it right now.
I've never heard of this actually, but that's super.
Yeah, I was on the news a little while ago and I just kind of remember watching it and I was just like, really? Oh, holy crap.
It's kind of depressing. I don't know.
Like, I can't imagine a company that actually has to make its own money doing something that stupid.
Yeah, no, it's not going to work. Or they're going to do. You know what? Okay, I've seen that. Challenge coins. Have you heard of challenge coins? You know what challenge coins are? Like military challenge coins and stuff. Like if you're in a military division, it's possible that they will have what's called a challenge coin. Challenge coins are a very old thing that go really far back. When I was in Korea, when Edsel and I were doing our like changing of the guard thing. Did you hear about that or see those pictures?
I heard it, but you guys told me about it.
Yeah. When we were doing the changing of the guard thing, there was a challenge coin ceremony.
Okay.
You had to connect the coin or whatever. But the, like more modern challenge coins, like say you're a part of the 501.
You better explain what the hell a challenge coin is, because I'm probably not the only one who has no idea what you're talking about.
You get some sort of coin. You can probably Google it really easily. You get a coin, and then it's very specific. And if someone asks you for it, you have to produce it, and then it has to match theirs, so you know you're a part of the same crew.
Okay.
Obviously, there's inherent issues where you could like kill someone and take theirs, and then be like, "Hey, I'm a part of your group." But this is like a very old system, and challenge coins now are just kind of like really cool. And I know like there's a corporation on Eve that got a whole bunch of funding together and got their own challenge coins because they just look amazing. I wonder if I can find that article. Challenge coin Eve. Yep, if you just Google challenge coin Eve, the like first thing on there will show the guy, and then if you find it somewhere in the comments, he has a picture to his, and it just looks like super cool.
Right.
I can't remember where I was going with this. What were we talking about for challenge coins? Right. Okay. So, and I've heard of some corporations giving like, okay, all of the executives get challenge coins, but this is like you buy the mold, which is like $500, and then each coin is like $6.
Right.
Does not cost a whole bunch of money. They're not giving like trophies and medals and all this kind of stuff. And even if they do, there's probably some sort of actually really good reason behind it, and they'll probably do it in a somewhat reasonable and financially responsible way.
I
And
like
it's
Citrix.
probably-
I like Crixus skills. Challenge coins, please. I got Doge coins.
Oh,
Oh snap!
did you even find pictures of challenge coins?
No, I was looking for the stupid award medals that were ridiculous.
Oh, okay,
I
yeah.
couldn't find them.
But like, there's reasons to give people awards, but
Yeah.
you're not supposed to spend all of your money on it. That's the whole point of giving someone an award.
Yeah.
Because it's not a monetary award.
Yeah, like you got a Christmas bonus,
Yeah.
but it wasn't the entire profit of the company
No.
for 2013.
Yeah, and it's like it's supposed to like make you happy and drive you to work harder. Like that's the idea of rewards, not like here we just spent all of our money.
I just
so-
wanted you to think of me when you're not working. Every time you make food, you have to think of me.
And every
now.
time I play Wii U.
Yep. Isn't that depressing?
Well, I work all the time,
Posted
so,
by.
so it's gotta have to. Yeah, I don't know.
So basically, it hasn't
So
changed.
even when I'm
anything.
on lunch,
So Ashley posted on the forum, in-home streaming beta update March 17th. This was posted by Slukin, and actually I got an opportunity to chat with him for about an hour on Steam Chat earlier this week, which was really cool. And I found out that he's like the main guy who's working on Steam in-home streaming. We chatted, and I actually had a really cool experience where he was talking to me about something like, blah, 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 you know, a year ago, I was kind of, you know, thinking about this. This was percolating in my mind. And I was like, you know what, it's funny, because it must have been about a year ago, my co-host and I were sitting in my garage talking about NVIDIA Grid and how we wanted like a centralized streaming device within our homes that would turn anything from a computer, like a normal desktop computer, to a Raspberry Pi into a full-fledged gaming system. And I went looking for the article, and it was 1 year exactly prior, because NVIDIA had announced it at GDC the previous year.
Yeah.
And like I sent him the link to the timestamp within what was before called Livestream, but is now WAN show. And as he's watching it, he's like, yeah, man, you were like right on, like way ahead of your time. But like, imagine this, blah, 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 like Raspberry Pi. And then like 30 seconds later, he gets to the point in the video where I'm like, blah, 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 Raspberry Pi. Imagine, you know, you could have a LAN just by everyone bringing over like, you know, their favorite peripherals and like Raspberry Pis, and like, boom, you're set up. And like with stuff like Oculus, which I wasn't even talking about at the time, all of a sudden your display's here. All you need is like a game controller and a Raspberry Pi, and everyone could be running like seriously HD plus graphics on their heads. I mean, okay, tell me this. Is VR gaming with a group of people socializing?
whoa.
Okay, hold on. That might be a whole separate topic.
Yeah.
But anyway, they added a bunch of really cool stuff. So that was a really cool conversation with him. Super cool guy. He talked a little bit about what it's like working for the almighty Lord and Savior Gabe In, and how, you know, he like came in like right when he first started. He's only been there about a year, which is really cool.
Yeah.
He went from like not working there to like creating one of the headline features of SteamOS in my mind in like a year.
Welcome to being a Valve employee.
Exactly. So he walked into Gabe N's office and he was like, yeah, this would be really cool. And Gabe N's like, go build it. And he's just like, oh, no, I don't feel ready yet. So he went and worked on TF2 for a couple months, and then did some work on SteamOS, and then like had another conversation with Gabe N, who he calls Gabe, but I feel not worthy. So he had another conversation. And he's like, yeah, I really want to try this. And he's like, make it so. And so he started out trying to prove that in-home streaming wasn't possible. And it kept
He kept on like fixing it.
Kept not working. Or kept working.
Yeah.
The disproving kept not working, to the point where now we have this very usable service. And this latest batch of improvements looks pretty darn
huge.
impressive.
Yeah.
Hardware accelerated encoding via QuickSync. QuickSync isn't the best quality encoding in the world.
Nope.
But what it is extremely fast.
Which is what you need.
And on pretty much any Intel processor in the last couple of generations, as long as you're on a mainstream platform. They also added mouse emulation mode for controllers, toggled with Guide A. There were, see now, okay, I'm just going to go through this list, because I talked to him about a bunch of other crap that, like, is not on this list. And
so maybe shouldn't cover it.
I don't want to accidentally talk about anything that's, like, going to be a problem
Don't
for
want
him.
to burn that bridge before we get to go to Valve.
Yeah. Okay, something I did talk to him about is, like, could we maybe, like, get an invite down there at some point? And he didn't promise anything, but, like, he really liked our video about in-home streaming. So seriously, I think it like made his month
That's good.
to have us make that video and like get it.
And we want to do an update, just
Yes.
not now necessarily.
I'll probably wait till it's out of beta.
Yeah.
The other really cool stuff that they added is a 30 megabit bandwidth option, which was before the maximum, with an unlimited bandwidth option that's been increased to 100 megabit. So we could be seeing better image quality.
We wanted that. That's something we noticed when we were testing.
Settings to enable traffic quality of service priority and the advanced host options. Honestly, it's getting better like almost daily. That was one of the challenges when I was benchmarking it. And I told him this. I was like, dude, the bloody thing was changing while I was trying to test it. I managed to find like 2 days where you didn't do an update and I got my video done and then it updated the next day. And he was just like :D. Thank you.
Worked too hard.
For some reason I signed out of my Google Doc. Anyway, in-home streaming got an update, so that was the point of all that.
We can stay on the Valve idea.
Yeah, let's ride the Valve train to
All right.
like gaming enlightenment station.
So free to play?
I'm finally almost done Portal 2. Finally.
I thought you said you were finally done Portal
I
2.
thought I was. I have played like another 2.5 hours. I thought I was close to the end, but I wasn't.
Portal's like that though.
Yeah.
Portal makes you think you're like done, and then it's just like, oh nope.
By the way,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm still really enjoying it though. It's fantastic, but I can't start Bravely Default till I'm done Portal 2. I'm determined to finish it first.
Yeah. So, what Valve news do you want to do? There's actually a bunch.
Yeah, I know. It's like, how much ass can we kiss? You know what? Okay, let's not kiss up. Let's do like brutal Valve news first.
No, okay.
Look who doesn't hate Apple, the one and only Gabe Ben,
I don't know why this was okay.
holding an iPhone and an iPad. We don't know who this guy is, but I just thought this
some
was
dude
funny.
on Reddit. I don't know. Like,
I just think it's funny.
Steam works on Mac.
I know.
Like they like push Mac support.
Yeah,
for
Gabe Ben
games.
openly is hating on Windows lately,
Yeah.
not OS 10 and
Yeah.
not Linux.
That's why I was like, why is everyone so surprised?
Well, okay.
It's kind of funny.
It's
but,
probably not a matter of them being surprised, as more a matter of the internet has like a culture. Like,
yeah.
And it's like, there's like the internet culture and then there's like the internet counterculture, you know? And so the internet culture went on this like Apple thing, and then like Android became the counterculture. And then when Android goes mainstream, everyone will probably want, like, the cool kids on the internet will probably shift to something else. And so the cool kids on the internet right now, ourselves included, are all running Android and expect that anyone who's a tweaker or, like, an enthusiast is going to be doing the same thing.
But he's an enthusiast about other stuff. He's not really a mobile
I
platform
know.
guy.
And a lot of game developers use Apple. Just throwing that out there. Like, that's a thing. But that's, I think, why people found it so surprising, was because they would have expected him to be on whatever sort of the internet bandwagon is.
I just personally don't care. As long as his desktop that he's doing all of his like work for Steam on is actually, it's not even probably. He probably has a Mac so that he can work on stuff for Steam on Mac. He probably has both. It's Gaben. I fully expect him to have both. I don't know. I didn't think this was that.
Yeah, he's
big of a
worth
deal.
like over $1 billion or something. So I think if he
probably
felt
has
like
multiple of both.
if he felt like having a Mac Pro, I think it's a non-issue.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into the new Steam controller, which is no longer interesting.
It's still kind of interesting.
Oh, come on now.
We knew exactly what these buttons were though, which was kind of cool. Remember, we called it out. We were like, the ones on the right are going to be ABXY, and the ones on the left are going to be arrow buttons.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be essentially a D-pad. We said that, and when they were unlabeled, and now they're like, boop.
Arrow buttons make for a terrible D-pad,
Yeah.
and Valve should know better. That's all I'll say about the design. I'll let you launch into what you think about it.
I hate that, but no one other than Nintendo has seemingly been able to figure out D-pads in the last little while.
Even Nintendo. Actually, the one on the Wii was okay. The one
Yeah.
on the Wiimote was
Yeah.
actually not bad.
So, like, I don't know what's going on there. Maybe people just suck at making D-pads nowadays, but I don't know if maybe that has something to do with it.
They don't like the D.
But I would still rather a D-pad, even if it was kind of a crappy D-pad, than buttons, because it's just weird, and I want a D-pad. It's still different, because it has the touchscreen areas. And it's still going to enable you to play...
Still not sold on those.
I'm not either, but it's still different.
You know, I think I would actually rather some totally janky solution like a Couchmaster versus being stuck gaming with touchpads, even if I was playing Civ 5. When's the last time you had an opportunity to game on your notebook and you didn't just go to the extra effort to go find a mouse? Gaming on a touchpad is terrible.
Yeah, but then like, oh, I don't know.
It's terrible.
Yeah, it is.
It's terrible.
The only reason why I always use the Civ 5 one is like I could also say XCOM, the new XCOM game. You could probably do it fairly easily with a touchpad. But you know what? I guarantee it works great with anything that isn't a touchpad as well, because that's just how that game is set up.
Right.
So Civ is really the champion for this controller, but I don't know. I don't care. I mean, like, I'm gonna play Civ on my desktop because I'm gonna be playing with other people, and then it's gonna go so slow that I'm gonna tab out in between turns anyways. So I can do other things. So I don't really see it being that big of a deal.
Given Valve's openness, what I would like to see, because I've held the controller ergonomically, I don't have a ton of complaints about it. I would like to see someone just adopt their design and get rid of the touchpads and throw like joysticks in there. Because if you were to do that and put a proper D-pad on it, then all of a sudden, now we've got some buttons on the back.
Everything except for the buttons on the back, the thing that goes in your palm, and the ABXY buttons.
Or we could all just go back to using SNES controllers because they're clearly superior to everything else.
Xbox 360.
Xbox 360 is okay, but the D-pad is terrible!
Yeah, but you've got thumbsticks.
You've got thumbsticks, but that's not great for platforming.
For platforming. That's all
you
you
know
want
what?
to do.
Screw you.
I like platforming. No, I play platformers all the time. I'm just saying
you.
that's all you want to do. That's literally the only reason why you care.
I also still use a D-pad for other stuff.
And okay.
And like, you know what? Okay, the shield I just traded you.
Yeah.
Has kind of a crappy A button. Like it kind of sticks a bit. Did you notice already?
Yeah, a little bit. But it's like
it's not that bad.
Yeah, I know.
But it has a better D-pad than mine.
I like the D-pad.
The D-pad's okay. Mine's very clicky.
I haven't played with it a lot yet. I only played one game and for not very long.
Have you tried using GameStream on it yet?
Yes.
Oh, but your wireless is terrible in your place, isn't it?
Yes, but I did upstairs.
There's a D-Link router in my car.
I did it like...
It's an AC dual-band router.
I did it close to the router.
Right.
When I was doing actual game stream, and then I ended up just watching a movie on it off my NAS.
Right.
Because I was like, this makes sense.
Yep. You know what's funny? The funny thing about Shield is I think people didn't understand what it was, and I think that's a lot of the hate. People were like, it's a game console. And that's what NVIDIA's pushing, but I actually disagree. Yeah. And then people were like, oh, I'd rather game on my phone. And I went, well, no, this isn't a phone.
No.
It's a tablet. That's what it is. It's a small tablet. And what makes it a tablet is not the size of the screen. What makes it a tablet is the way that it comes with a stand in it. That's the funny thing to me about it. The reason I completely stopped using my iPad and started using my Shield for everything. I used to use my iPad all the time, almost every day. Now I use my Shield almost every day. Is because it sits on this controller thing that I can put it next to the bath, or if I'm cooking, it's always got a stand on it.
And how you can integrate, like, I haven't been a huge push of Shield before, but now I've actually had some extended use with it, which is really nice. How they actually integrated using like D-pad and ABXY buttons in the OS is freakishly good.
Yeah, it's really good.
Like, I assumed it was going to be terrible and I was just going to be touching everything, and I started that way, and then I just like instinctively pressed B and was like, what?
Yeah, no,
that works?
The UI is really good. To me, it's a tablet. It has great speakers. So it's great for content watching.
And you're not going to use it for like phone stuff. You're not going to phone someone on it. You can't.
Yeah, exactly. So it's not perfect. No. And I'm really stoked for Shield 2. Like, it needs hardware volume buttons for the love of everything NVIDIA. What is up with that?
That's true, but that's not the worst thing.
No, it's not the worst thing.
It was manageable.
It needs to be lighter. It needs to be lots of things.
I'm not a huge fan of how it sits in your hands.
You know what's funny? Is I wasn't at first. And now that I use it more often than I use an Xbox 360 controller, the Xbox 360 controller feels kind of cheap and crappy to me. The Shield has a really solid feel.
I like the weight. That's
and the
not
rubber
what I
grip
don't
on
like
the
about
back.
it. And the rubber grip is fine, but it's just how my fingers naturally sit on it is very odd.
Give it some more time.
I'm going to.
And then we'll talk again.
I've very recently started using it, so I'm going to.
I should have given that to you like months ago to use, just because I talk about it so much. It'd be great if you had extended. I know. I just kept not getting around to copying all the data off of it. I'm basically a terrible person.
But yeah, so far I've been enjoying it a lot.
Wait, before we get into this, we have a couple of sponsor messages. Woo! Yeah. So first, Squarespace. Visit squarespace.com/Linus for a free trial and 10% off. The software that lets you make a beautiful website. And you know what's really funny about the whole Squarespace integration is okay, it went through phases. At the beginning of us talking about Squarespace and how it's, I'm going to work in the sponsor messages here, how it's a fast and easy way to build a beautiful website and you can do it really quickly. They have a free trial that lasts for 2 weeks so you can set everything up the way you'd like. Super simple to use, web-based UI, it's all cloud-based, dynamic server hosting, so if you get a ton of traffic that can scale automatically with you, all that stuff. That's really good about Squarespace. And it's funny because when we first started doing these integrations, we had a whole bunch of people sign up right away.
Yep.
And then there was like a lull where people were like, whoa, I don't want to hear about Squarespace anymore. How do you know what it is? Now, you know what's funny? Is like I'm seeing more and more people like thanking me on Twitter for drawing their attention to Squarespace because they're just like, yeah, I was like doing something else before and it's like super stupid. And Squarespace is not super stupid. So like, thank you for the 10% off code because it's kind of awesome. And regardless of whether you decide to give us credit for your Squarespace account, if you sign up for a full year, you get a free domain. They will throw that in for you. So guys, there you go. Squarespace. Beautiful websites that work on mobile, desktop, laptops. I went ahead and went to the wrong thing. I wanted to go to my screen here so you can see our Squarespace website, which I can touch and I can use a mouse and keyboard if I want. It's nice and snappy. It's lionsmediagroup.com. You guys can all hit it as hard as you want, and it will not care at all. You know what's really funny is I don't know if we actually have Squarespace listed as one of our sponsors on our site. Yes, we do. There they are. All right, so moving on to a sponsor that we don't actually have listed on the site because we compiled that list a long time ago. This is Dollar Shave Club, and we've gotten a lot of really positive feedback about this one already. I've had a ton of people message me telling me that, okay, yep, I switched to Dollar Shave Club and it's amazing, it's awesome. I think most of them probably haven't even gotten their initial orders yet. No, we did the first integration like a couple weeks ago, right?
Yeah, they could have definitely gotten it by
Yeah,
now.
they probably have.
Especially the US guys.
I had some people saying like, yeah, the razors are blanking great. Now, okay, like their whole ad, I'm going to switch over to my screen here for a moment. This is a fantastic ad. And aside from what I'm saying during the show here, you guys should definitely watch it because their CEO is kind of a marketing genius here. So he basically walks through their warehouse, talks about how they're creating American jobs. They were able to bleep out the swear words that go with their "Our blades are blanking great" slogan. Talk about sort of the money that you can save by switching to Dollar Shave Club versus going and buying razors at the store. We talked about this at the beginning of the show, but just the fact that there's like, you know, an armed guard next to the replacement razor blades is just, it creates extra hassle when already I know both of the people sitting in this room are just plain too lazy to go to the store to buy new razors. Like, okay, what I would do is not as bad as you.
What would you do?
I would, like, in my first integration for Dollar Shave Club, I made a joke where, like, I was using a Hobbit replica sting, and I was like, maybe I can get one more shave out of this elven blade, but I would do that. So instead of having a razor blade,
I've gone at about
I know
500 more shaves.
Like, instead of using it for a week, which is what Dollar Shave Club says, look, use it for a week, get a really nice clean shave, and next month 4 more are going to show up. Use them each for a week. That is the way it should be done. The way that I would do it is I would use them for like 3 weeks. And then you were saying before the show started,
I literally don't think I've bought razors for a year. And I think it was like, I don't even think I didn't buy them. My mom got them for me, not this Christmas, but the one before. So it's been more than a year. It's been like a year and what, like 3 months? Almost 4 months? It's been about a year and 4 months. since I bought new razors.
That's disgusting.
And I just grind them against my face. Because there's some amount of metal there, and it has some amount of an edge, so it's just going to eventually pull off all the hair.
All right, so the service is available in Canada, the US, and Australia. I'm going to go ahead and fire up my screen here. So for less than $10 a month for even the Executive, which is their premium 6-blade razor that's like made in outer space or something like that. I mean, their marketing's really silly. I kind of like these guys because they're not too serious about it. They're like, yeah, we have a service, and like, you know what? It's razor blades, man. Like, there's only so much we can say about it, but look, they're really good. They're really cheap. They're really convenient, because for me, the big obstacle was just I didn't feel like going and dealing with it. So I would have my wife buy them after like the 3 weeks.
Some guy just said, looks at Slick, I never knew he didn't use razors. It's like, I do, man. I do actually have to all the time. There's a reason why this sits here. It's because it's way too much to deal with if I don't let it sit.
So aside from their razors, they have Dr. Carver's Easy Shave Butter, which I actually did try, and it works. Unlike shaving foam...
Is there an option so you can get like a cheaper set that doesn't have the butter?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the butter's an optional
Because I know
item.
some people don't use it, because some people are like me and they just shave in the shower.
Yeah, but it's actually kind of nice, because unlike shaving cream, it's not opaque. So it's clear, so you can kind of see what you're doing.
That's actually pretty helpful.
And it softens up the hairs, just like kind of you'd expect, and it smells really nice. I don't know if you smelled it. You smell it? Yeah, it smells nice. So
and it's not like awkward to smell that, like the.
Okay, because I gotta bring these up too. One White Charlie's. The ad for this one actually was like, it was like awkward to the point where he's like, yeah, he gets off a toilet. He's like, sometimes, you know, you don't have time to jump in the shower and rinse off your butt. So we made these peppermint scented butt wipes for men, One Wipe Charlie's. And I really just, talking about these makes me feel a little uncomfortable. But there you go, guys. Dollar Shave Club, bathroom supplies, direct to your door once a month. We've actually had, there's someone walking by outside who's listening to me talk about butt wipes for men. And that's a little bit awkward. But the point is, we've had over 100 of our viewers already sign up for Dollar Shave Club.
It's so chicken or dog, and she was just staring out the window when he said butt wipes for men.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Well,
yeah, we got a bunch of people.
Did I even tell you that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like we've had over 100 people sign up, and everything I've seen from people has been super positive so far. So guys, I would love for you to drop me a line on Twitter and let me know any one of our sponsors that you decide to use, whether it's Hotspot Shield. Hotspot Shield has a Design Our New Slogan contest they're running on Facebook right now. You guys should probably check that out. Facebook, Hotspot Shield, Design Slogan, or something like that. Or come up with our new slogan is the thing that they're running right now. So whoever it is, we'd love to hear from you guys that you're using it and that it's great. And we'd also love to hear from you that you're using it and it sucks.
Yeah.
Because we have the inside track with these companies, and if they're doing something that's making you unhappy, we don't want sponsors that are making our viewers unhappy, and we will cut them off if there is a problem. Seriously, we will cut them off. And number two is because we're able to bring your problem to their attention, we can get it resolved for you pretty quickly most of the time. So we'd love to hear from you guys about that. All right.
We had such a good rapport with people around here.
I know.
And now they're going to be like, they talk about butt wipes in their house. What are they doing in there?
Well, wiping our butts. What, do you not wipe your butt? That should
not going to help things.
That should be our retort. Like, do you think wiping your butt's gross?
Oh, God.
What's our next topic?
We can do we want to finish off the Valve stuff?
Yeah, let's finish off the Valve stuff. We don't have much longer on the show here.
Nope.
I kind of went tangential today.
Yeah, but people, that's all right.
Yeah, I guess
as long as we do it, okay, then it's all right.
All right, Valve's new film, Free to Play, is a bid to legitimize professional gamers. Post on the Washington Post. You watched it, right?
I did watch it, and while I think the angle from
Hold on, I'm going to stop you. Who should watch it?
Honestly, I'm going to send it to my mom and dad. Okay. I had a little bit of bouts with this when I was younger, and I think my mom can relate to certain things that happened. Okay. So I think my mom will appreciate the movie. I think my dad will just kind of find it interesting because he's always come to PAX with us and stuff.
Sure.
Even though he's not a huge gamer, he likes being with the group and he
gaming
likes playing
culture
games anyways, and he's kind of he can enjoy it and he can appreciate it. But gamers. Now it's about Dota.
Right.
Very specifically, it's about Dota.
Go figure.
I don't really play Dota. Yeah, go figure. They don't try to hide that. That's one thing that I found in the Washington Post thing was that they're like, oh my god, it's about Dota, and I'm like, it's a documentary about Dota.
By
Figure it out.
Valve.
Yeah, good job. Anyways, sorry, I'm gonna rant more about that later. But it's like you don't have to necessarily appreciate or like Dota to appreciate and like this documentary. I don't really play Dota much or ever at all, and I don't really watch it too much either. And I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
Really, really enjoyed it, and I'm not a huge Dota fan. Now, that being said, I used to be really big into League of Legends, and I was a bit into Dota 1 and stuff like that, and I've kind of dropped off. I don't play any MOBAs anymore.
Right.
That's just a personal thing. I burn myself out. I play them way too much. I have like hundreds and hundreds of hours in a few of them. So I'm just like, okay, I'm pulling off a little bit, playing other things. Like, I might jump back in the future. I'm just not that into it now.
Pulling off or pulling out?
Oh man, I knew you were gonna go there. But it's still really interesting, and it covers some really interesting stuff. And one thing that I really appreciated was, while it is a documentary about Valve, about Dota, they didn't just thump the hammer the whole time. They actually went into, like, these are problems.
Thump the hammer? What does that even mean?
I was going to say drum, but then I said hammer, and it just didn't work.
Thump the hammer. Because it would be like pound the drum, you know.
That was the whole point.
Thump the drum wouldn't even be right.
It's close.
So comb it with a brick.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Anyways. So it was interesting to see, like, okay, these are all the problems that these players have actually gone through.
Right.
And these are the issues that they're having trying to be professional gamers. It's not easy. They're not making much money. Like,
Right.
it brought up all these problems. Like, despite it being $1 million tournament, a lot of them really didn't make enough money
Make
to,
$1 million.
yeah, no. Like, and that was a really interesting angle that they came around, and it seemed more like a push to legitimize gaming in general instead of being an advertisement while still being a documentary by Valve about Dota, which I found really interesting. And coming from an angle where I'm not super interested in Dota, much more interested currently in Counter-Strike, another Valve title, but there was nothing in here about Counter-Strike. Still super interesting.
Okay.
So I appreciate if you're into gaming on a professional level at all, like if you like watching professional gaming, if you like any of that kind of stuff, or even if you're just a gamer, I could see this being very interesting. And you don't have to be very well versed to appreciate the film. They explain everything. So I wouldn't worry about that either. Like, I can show this to my mom and she'll get it and it'll be fine.
One Man Pizza says if you liked free to play, go Google The Smash Brothers. Or The Smash Bros. Apparently it's a really good gaming documentary as well.
Yeah, Indie Game the movie is really good.
I watched that. That was really good.
Yeah,
I
Indie Game the
enjoyed it.
movie's great. So those are all really interesting things to check out. The Washington Post brought up a few things. Andrea Peterson was saying that it's an extended commercial, an effective extended commercial, but definitely an extended commercial. And they go through the thing talking about how, like, they followed cliche characters. And I'm like, it's a documentary, man. They followed, like, captains of teams.
Where do you think cliches come from?
And, like, it's one thing too, because growing up with friends that were trying to do it and myself trying to do it and, like, people that were wildly more successful than I was and all this kind of stuff, like, we all went through this stuff. So you're wrong, people from Washington Post. It's really good that they covered that because this legitimately happens. Your parents will be against you. That being said, at the very beginning, my parents were, and then once they started to see how into it I was, they were totally welcoming and happy about it. But definitely not everyone's are, and they covered that in this movie, which was really interesting.
If my son was like, yeah, I'm going to be a pro gamer, Dad, I'd be like, no, you're not.
It's like, and these are things that should be covered and were covered and were really interesting. And they show, like, the one guy's mom being like, this is really dumb, like, to his face in the documentary.
Right.
And I'm like, that's good. That should have been in this documentary. And they're like, oh, we didn't necessarily see that. It's just really, like, cliche characters and stuff. And I'm like, shut up.
That totally exists.
It's a documentary.
Like,
they should cover that stuff. And they're like, yeah, they spent so much time looking at the different players. And I'm like, thank you. That's what I wanted to see. They showed little snippets from the matches. And a lot of the time, sometimes it was an actual clip from the match. And sometimes it was just, like, super heavily animated.
Right.
And not, like, actually the stuff from the match. Which I think actually helped it be watchable by people that aren't super interested in Dota 2. I would have been able to follow it just fine if there was more footage from the matches. Because I understand Dota 2. But not everyone can, and being able to show it to my mom, that helps a lot.
Right.
And, like, having one-on-one interviews with relatives
Right.
was really interesting of the players and stuff like that, and like going heavily into their backstories, because it's a really difficult thing to get into. It's incredibly difficult to get into, and they bring up the thing where like you're not going to be a pro gamer beyond 29,
Right.
because your reaction time is going to be too low. And like the main thing people usually think about that in is stuff like Counter-Strike, but that applies to pretty much everything. And of course there's exceptions to the rule, but there's not very many.
Right, well, just like Timo Solani is still playing hockey.
Yeah.
And the guy's like 42.
Like there's exceptions.
But he's like, one guy.
Yeah.
That's it.
So like it's interesting the stuff they bring up, and it's honestly it's a great documentary.
I've got a few people upset that I would tell my son, no, you're not going to be a pro gamer. Well, I would also tell my son, no, you're not going to be a professional football player. Because in the real world, you're probably not. If he's willing to fight through the adversity of me telling him he's an idiot for trying, then he stands a chance.
If he's going to be his son, he's going to have to fight through that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So
and
I don't know.
Honestly, like, is that a correct parenting tactic? Oh, I don't know. Probably not. I don't care. The reality of it is, if you're not willing to, fight for something that you believe in and you're not passionate enough about to get past, your parents not caring about it, you will not succeed anyway. I'm sorry.
No, it's true. That's very true. And they cover that in the documentary. They show how much crap these guys have to go through. And trust me, even the people that they didn't cover were going through that stuff. No one's parents are going to go, this is a very good career move. Don't go to school, play games all day, you'll be successful. I don't see anyone's parents really doing that. I can see parents going my mom and dad's route, which was pursue other things.
Yeah.
But if you want to do this as much as you want in your free time, go ahead. And they'll support me with that. That was fantastic. My parents did, in my opinion, a very good job.
Right.
I appreciate that a lot. But they also were kind of pushing, like, make sure, and this is something I really appreciated too, and I still apply, is don't necessarily lock yourself in with one thing.
You need to have an exit strategy.
Always have an exit
incredibly
strategy.
important.
Yeah.
I had someone else ask, well, Linus, would you tell your kid not to be a tech YouTuber? Absolutely. What are the odds? Like, what are the odds of success? If anything, the odds of success being a professional tech YouTuber are probably lower than the odds of being a pro gamer at some level. Who is actually making a full-time job out of being a tech YouTuber?
There's not very many.
Like, I can count them on one hand, probably. Like, who is actually full-time? Logan? Me? Marcus? Austin? Elric?
You're not counting the team component, though.
I'm not counting the team component. Okay, so fine. I could probably count, like, the lead guys that are, like, running tech YouTuber companies, maybe on both hands. Because there's Detroit Borg. I don't know if he does it full-time. And there's, like, some other guys. But even looking at Lou from Unbox Therapy is another one. So even looking at, like, a collab that he's planning, a lot of the guys participating are, like, still students and stuff. Like, they're not actually trying to turn this into a viable business yet, even. I mean, even Marcus is still a student.
Yeah.
And, like, he's making enough money that he could go full-time if he felt like it, but he's not even... He's one of the most successful ones out there,
but he's
not even banking on it.
And he's doing the backup strategy thing, the exit strategy thing, where if it fails, there's an option. And I think that's a really good point.
And, I mean, people would ask me this all the time before I went independent. And people would say, oh, I want to be a tech YouTuber just like you. And I'd say, I'm not a tech YouTuber. I have a real job. I'm a product manager. That's an actual job. I do this tech YouTube thing because it's, like, super fun and it's exciting and I really enjoy it and I'm passionate about it. And that is my point. My parents don't have a bloody idea what I do. They have no idea. They have never once bought a video game or a piece of... No, they did upgrade our 386 to a 486, but that wasn't for gaming or hardware passion or anything. They've never actually bought me a piece of computer hardware. Want to be real clear about that.
My parents have. My parents did.
The closest I got was my uncle upgraded his computer and I built his new computer for him, and he gave me his old computer as like an attaboy, and this was a Pentium 166 megahertz when Pentium 4s were on the market. To be clear,
when I pieced out my first computer, I paid for it all. But when I pieced it out, my dad and I went to go pick it up, and the sales guy was like, "Do you have a monitor?" And I was just like, no.
Chrome Monkey is bringing up some people who are not entirely YouTubers. Ryan Shrout is not a YouTuber. Like, he does YouTube videos, and you can tell him I said that. Quote Linus, out of context. Ryan Shroud is not a YouTuber. But he runs PCPer. PCPer.com is his bread and butter. That's like a website. That's web journalism as opposed to, Dad, I want to be a tech YouTuber.
It's more than two hands.
It's
But he's using a...
What?
There's more than two hands.
Okay, yeah. Okay, fine. There's more than however many hands worth. But the ones doing it strictly on YouTube? I don't know.
Well, if you include, like... Are you talking about just PC hardware? Because tech YouTubers...
Okay, tech YouTubers, yeah, there's probably tons of them.
Yeah.
Even then, the odds are slim, and I wouldn't be a big fan of it. If he was like, yeah, that's my master plan, I'm going to be like a tech YouTuber. I'd be like, oh, you got to have a real plan first. Like, have a plan for a 9 to 5, and then if you make it, it's kind of like professional athletes. You know what? The vast majority of them go to school and participate in school athletics and then make it.
That's something too, is like my brother does StarCraft casting locally, right?
Yeah.
So I've talked to some of the guys locally that are really good. One of them, who's like an awesome dude, FireZerg. I follow him around a little bit. He's actually really good.
Yeah.
And like a few of the other guys that they hang out with and stuff, they go to this UBC StarCraft club.
Right.
UBC, University of British Columbia StarCraft Club. They're all kids that are going to UBC and also enjoy playing StarCraft, and some of them are really good and could probably make it professionally, but are also going to UBC.
Yeah, so have a backup plan, I guess, is the main point of this.
But then
Holy
watch that.
Crap. We could almost do we got sidetracked today. We could almost do a whole other show on like some of this stuff in here.
Yeah, we went from not enough topics every week to
like way too many.
Yeah.
Oh, new CPUs from Intel. Okay, we're gonna have to like blitz this stuff, you guys. So Intel's looking at doing an unlocked...
Oh my god, we haven't done any VR yet.
I know, we have done none of the VR and none of the improvements to DirectX 12 and OpenGL.
Oh god.
Like, we're screwed. Okay, guys, we're gonna have to just blitz this stuff. Unlocked Pentium 20th Anniversary Edition. We're gonna be getting an 8-core Core i7 Extreme, and Intel is talking about fixing the thermal interface material issue that they've had with some of their processors, giving you better temperatures and hopefully improved overclocking. Personally, I'm not expecting it to make a big difference. But the fact that Intel is listening to the enthusiast community and addressing it is a really good sign.
Yeah.
Because they've basically come out and acknowledged, like,
We kind of ignored you for a little while.
We've done some kind of crappy stuff and have not acknowledged it at all. So now we're getting a proper enthusiast-grade SSD. We're getting an 8-core Extreme Edition. We're getting fixed thermal interface material. It's like they're listening to us, and that's extremely exciting. Yay, Intel. Thumbs up. All right, source here, DirectX 12.
That needs to start working. There we go.
All right, DirectX 12, this is from NVIDIA's blog, where the main notes here, and I'm just going to cut you guys off my screen so I can cheat and go back to my notes, will be delivered sometime this year with enough time to see shipping titles holiday 2015. Forza 5 was already Poded. It was ported from the Xbox One to the PC with DirectX 12 in 4 man-months. That's not bad. You could have 4 dudes working on it for a month, 4 dudes or women, whatever. I meant like dudes, like people. I try not to be sexist. So
women in computers is becoming a bigger and bigger thing.
I know, and like that's good. That's like great, and I don't want to seem like male chauvinist. Women can't code because they can better
Definitely
than me.
Can. One of my tutors when I was going to school was a female, and she was the best tutor I ever had.
That's like saying something racially insensitive and being like, one of my friends is a black guy, though.
Not really.
Okay, it's not the same thing at all.
No.
Okay, that would be like me saying the insensitive thing and being like, but I know like one female coder, so it's okay.
But I know a whole bunch. Like, I know a ton.
Okay, anyway, the point is, Forza 5 was ported from Xbox One to PC with DirectX 12 in 4 people months. With big performance improvements. DirectX 11 relied predominantly on one CPU core to do the bulk of the work, and it was able to distribute things a little bit. But we've had multi-core CPUs for years. Microsoft, I'm glad that you're doing this now, but I wish the sleeping bear had woken up a little bit earlier and not waited for AMD to put all this work into Mantle, which is basically, in my mind, a wasted effort at this point. Oh, okay, not wasted effort. Mantle looks like a dead project to me, but The fact that we're able to get this improvement in the industry with Microsoft improving DirectX, giving the developers more bare to metal sort of ability to program for the GPUs, giving the developers the ability to dramatically scale the number of draw calls, reducing the driver overhead significantly and spreading it out over multiple CPU cores. This is all, in my mind, either a result of Mantle or a result of Microsoft kind of looking at what AMD was planning to do and going, oh crap, if the API isn't like DirectX anymore, then like why would people game on Windows? Uh-oh. And I'm glad that they're finally waking up.
And they completed a goal. AMD said for a long time, if they ran away from this and made it so the Mantle doesn't have to exist, it's okay.
Yep, and they
Like,
did say that. I wasn't
did.
sure if they were truthful about that, but they said it.
That's true, but regardless, they said it. So
So
cool.
DirectX 12 could be leveraged on the Xbox One, Windows Mobile, but Microsoft has neither confirmed nor denied whether it will come to Windows 7.
Yeah. I really want it to, please. I don't want to move up. I'm completely happy with my
Because we could be looking at orders of magnitude better performance in some ways.
Yeah, we'd have to change over every system.
Like
that I
draw
have.
calls would be 10 to 100 times improvements in performance.
I-
And this is really exciting. Hardware-wise, it's coming to any GCN AMD card. However, we've noticed that just because something comes to every GCN card, 7000 series all the way up to the newer stuff, doesn't mean it actually works that well on it.
Yeah.
So just throwing that out
And
there.
there's actually a fairly noticeable difference between GCN 1 and GCN 1.1.
So there you go. And it's coming to every DirectX capable NVIDIA GPU. So that's Fermi, Kepler, and Maxwell. AMD hasn't said anything about 5000 series or 6000 series, but I would expect that's not going to be coming. All right, OpenGL improvements. Here we go. Boom! From the NVIDIA blog, if you want to get a developer's attention, all you need to do is start dropping whole numbers. Great point, Adrian. Or Ashu, sorry, how did I read Adrian? Wow, I gotta get my eyes
I have
checked.
no idea. I just read the A and then just made up the rest. That's all I need. That's like skim reading to a completely new level.
All right, so an unlikely team of presenters got together at GDC. I got a kick out of this. But Intel, AMD, and NVIDIA,
Really weird.
I know, right? hosted a session on OpenGL and how modern OpenGL could be used to reduce driver overhead to near zero. Improving performance 1.3 times, like easily, and then up to 7 to 15 times with some optimization. That is extremely exciting. And unlike DirectX, which was like, yeah, it could work on like Windows Phone, OpenGL can work on whatever you want. So
Yeah.
we're talking any mobile platform pretty much, any desktop platform, any, I don't know, you could probably run it on a toaster if you really felt like it. So OpenGL is extremely exciting. And while on
That's
the
gonna
desktop, the performance improvements are going to be really important on mobile, the improvements in battery life, because it's much more efficient to build multi-core CPUs than high-performing single-threaded CPUs. The improvements in battery life on mobile that we can achieve by leveraging OpenGL as a way to reduce overhead and as a way to utilize more cores is extremely exciting. All right, let's move on to the Snowdrop engine. Holy balls. This thing looks outstanding. So there's a video, which basically everyone should just go watch. This is on hexus.net. But this thing looks amazing. And the main points here to take away are that they've created a way of working with the engine that, like, obviously it's not this simple, but in the demo, they're just like dragging and dropping things and like drawing lines to connect different elements like actions as well as objects and events. And basically the idea is, aside from looking absolutely amazing, let's see if I can find the part with the burning buildings, because it just looks so good. Like, look at the cityscape. Where's the burning building? I want the burning building. I don't have enough time for this crap.
Literally. We're already over time.
I know. People gotta go home. Like, get to their families.
They might already be home.
Whatever. There's a car with lights on it. That's kind of like a
Good
burning
enough.
building. Good enough. We'll settle for that. All right. So what do we got going on here? I go back to my notes. because there's a lot of stuff I don't remember
Node-based
everything.
scripting system.
So so node-based scripting system allows all objects and actions to be connected, allows the artist to focus on creativity rather than mundane tasks. It'll be available first in Tom Clancy's The Division later in 2014, and this was really cool. Also in the video, it allows easy experimentation and testing of whatever's being worked on. So the video shows patterns being altered with just like a slider on the side of a helicopter, and like a little robot just like walking around in a test environment where you can like put stuff for it to step on, and you can test it and look at how it's going to work. Unity 5 has been announced. Moving on to the next thing. This is from TechCrunch.
I'll jump in once we get to
Better
VR.
lighting, better audio, and early support for plug-in free browser games? Wow.
Really cool. Really
Wow. Okay, I'll let you cover this.
Okay, so what I was really expecting when I saw this, and Linus probably remembers me saying this, is not surprised on the timing, because this coming out and Unity being such a big force in the VR scene with Oculus, I assumed it was going to tie in something really heavily with Oculus, but it actually seems the main things are the web stuff. So plugin-less support for browsers, like early access web GL support, like all this kind of stuff, audio systems, lighting, stuff like that, all being brought into Unity, which is really cool because Unity is such a heavy hitter when it comes to indie games, and then allowing them all to access this kind of stuff is very cool. Obviously, this is also going to go to Oculus, and people have been talking about how, while this is very cool, a lot of this was actually able to be brought in if you were like a really technical Unity user. You could apply all this stuff yourself with mods and whatnot, but this is now easily done by anyone. So that's actually really important in my opinion. There's also a video of new features for Source 2, which is really cool. And then we should probably move on already.
Revan Stig says, shut up about Oculus. Oh, that ain't happening.
No.
The Mantle and True Audio patch for Thief has been released. I gotta wonder how many of the people who cared about Thief have already watched or already played it.
Yeah, did I tell you I stopped completely?
Oh.
After I got the benchmarking run, I just quit because I was like, the audio in this game is too messed up for me to care.
Okay,
I'm
well,
just gonna wait.
At least True Audio may help things. So, Tom's Hardware actually has some benchmarks of Thief running with True Audio and Mantle. I haven't looked at these yet, so that's interesting. But, let's have a look. Theme frame, lowest detail preset. Why are we even looking at this? Okay, normal details. Here we go.
Normal?
So here's DirectX versus Mantle. Oh, we're looking at some pretty significant improvements. So here's a 270, which it's not even a super high-powered graphics card, and an 8350, which is a pretty decent CPU. And we're looking at like 30% improvement in performance. Oh, of minimum. But that's the most important thing anyway.
Okay, yeah. I was like, that seems very low for a really weird reason. Makes
Yeah,
no sense.
no, I was looking at minimum FPS.
Okay.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Positional audio was just completely broken in the game, but it may actually be fixed now. You should give it a shot.
Maybe that's what I wanted to bring up with this. Is I'm probably going to try it again now because positional audio was brutal before. There could be someone 2 floors below you walking around, and he sounds like he's exactly beside you on the same level. It's like, what is this?
Because the way the game was always supposed to work was with shoot, now I forget what it's called. Convoluted reverb. So that means that audio was supposed to be like dynamic and real time, and like instead of being a scripted or like pre-done effect, like when someone's underwater, like it was supposed to just the audio was just supposed to like bounce off stuff in a natural way, and so it was like completely broken out of the gate. But now with True Audio, AMD users who happen to be running like 3 different cards can use their hardware DSP to accelerate the True Audio convoluted reverb stuff. But don't worry, guys, you can still use it. You can just offload it to your CPU.
Those performance improvements noted on certain resolutions, like what is it? Yeah, 4770K with the 270X at I believe it was 1440p, got like a 1 FPS improvement.
Right.
So it's like this is the same story that we talked about before, where it really matters on the whole combination of your setup, how well it's going to work out for you.
Right.
But yeah. Anyways, moving on.
All right. Do it.
All right, so Project Morpheus, I'm going to jump on specs real quick and then jump on things that aren't specs after that. So it's going to be a 1920 by 1080 screen. I'm going to do a bunch of verses here at the beginning. So 1920 by 1080 screen, and I'm going to compare this to Development Kit 2 from Oculus. So I'm comparing the spec'd out, probably release version of Morpheus with the current developer version of Oculus, not the release version of Oculus, because we have no idea. So 1920 by 1080 screen on the release version of Morpheus, and 960 by 1920 per eye on the Oculus one. Morpheus will have a 90-degree FOV, and the Dev Kit 2 for Oculus is going to have a 100-degree FOV. You're going to be able to integrate your PlayStation camera and PlayStation Move to take in part skeleton movement from the camera and like hand movement from the Move or whatever like that, which is actually really cool because that's stuff that isn't like first-party support from Oculus. At least, well, the camera is, but like you're going to have to get like Hydra or I can't remember the name of it, but that other... 6-axis? No, not 6-axis.
What was the Hydra, the two-hand one?
No, but the other thing that's coming out that looks like handles, made by the same company that made Hydra for them.
I can't remember.
I don't remember what it's called, but that thing that's not out yet, or something like that, which could be really expensive. It's going to be a 5-inch panel. It's going to be used HDMI and USB, but they have been quoted that hopefully won't be a thing. It'll hopefully be wireless at some point, so that could be on release. We're not sure yet. It's going to be a 5-inch panel. Now we're going to get into some quotes. Problems with these quotes before I even say them. They're both from people at Oculus. These are the main quotes I've found so far. They're obviously going to be negative because they're people from Oculus. That being said, Sony has approached Oculus and is trying to work together with them.
That's a rumor.
That's a rumor.
Allegedly. So there's
Allegedly.
hold on, I'm going to find it because I've got it in the doc here.
Sure, I'm just going to...
So there's a post on Reddit where here it is. So guys, I'll post this in the chat, so you guys should check this out after. But it's basically just saying, okay, allegedly Sony and Oculus may be looking to work together on VR game development because Sony's solution isn't going to work on a PC and Oculus's solution isn't going to work on a console. So there's no real competition between them from a hardware perspective. They might as well enable game developers to have a larger platform to launch their games on.
Which is why Valkyrie, while it's an exclusive for Oculus, is also an exclusive for Morpheus.
Dun, dun, dun.
It's an exclusive for both of them, which is really interesting and shows kind of a backbone behind
just
that
like our
possibility.
relationship is exclusive.
Oh God, yes it is. So those quotes, as we jump into it now, is John Carmack saying, calibrate PS4 VR expectations. A game that ran at 60 FPS on PS3 could be done in VR on PS4, but it's going to have to have run at 60 FPS on PS3. So it'd have to be a 1080p game at 60 FPS on PS3 to be able to run on Project Morpheus. That's from John Carmack. John Carmack has extremely high expectations whenever it comes to anything to do with displays. And he's on Oculus's team, which no matter what you think about platform usability, they're still competitors.
He just kind of says whatever he wants, though.
He does. He totally does. So, I don't know. I personally think he has a really good point, but bear in mind that it's each side of the fence. Another quote, this is coming from Palmer, like CEO of Oculus, and this is fairly old, actually. Consoles are too limited to do what we want to do. So if you're looking at a VR perspective and one of the biggest pioneers in that industry, and they're saying this thing is too limited to be able to do it. Now, one of the reasons behind that quote actually was the platform being very locked down. You can't like upgrade graphics on a PlayStation. And that was actually a lot of the reasoning, not necessarily that it's currently not powerful enough, blah, 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 blah. That being said, every single demo that I have played, I have not played Valkyrie on an Oculus yet, and
amazing.
They're saying that it's going to work on PlayStation anyways, so I don't know what to say about that. But every demo that I've played on an Oculus would easily run on a PS4. That being said, a lot of them are kind of tech demos so far, showing how it works, not supposed to be fully fledged games. So we'll see that more in the future. They have a bunch of really interesting partners like Epic Games, Crytek, Autodesk, Unity, and more. And they're also going to be showcasing things like demos of Valkyrie, and Thief. So that's actually really interesting.
Funny story. The demo was running on a Windows 7 PC.
And that's like...
I mean, this is just typical. We're not surprised.
Yeah.
This happens every bloody time. There's a new console refresh or whatever else.
It happens with Xbox exclusive games. It happens with PlayStation exclusive games, which aren't supposed to be able to run on PC, and they're running on a PC.
That makes me so mad. It's like, you already have the PC version.
Just release it. But yeah, so like that actually wasn't surprising at all, but it's still funny to joke about. Another thing that happened this week was what I was kind of just talking about was Oculus Rift Development Kit 2 came out and everyone and their mom bought one. So in 36 hours, why is my notes gone on this? There it is. 12.5 thousand units sold in 36 hours.
That's $4.375 million of revenue. And they haven't even actually released a commercial product yet.
Yeah, so I'll get into the commercial product thing soon. So more specs on this. I already talked about some of it. Just to give you a refresher, it's 960 by 1920 per eye, 100 degree FOV, and now refresh rates. They've made the refresh rates a lot better. That's wrong. Why is this changed? I'm like, sure that's wrong, but do you want to check the I'll check it real quick.
Sure. This is your baby, man.
Yeah, why was that changed? Anyways, it's luckily I recognize that. It's up to 75 hertz, running at 75, 72, or 60 hertz refresh rate, which is really interesting.
That actually makes a surprisingly big difference.
Yeah.
My 30-inch monitor, my 305T, I wasn't able to like crazy overclock it or anything to like, 100 hertz or whatever.
Yeah.
But I did remember we went through this. I managed to get it running at like 72, and it makes a really big difference.
Yeah. And especially when things are that close to your face, any amount of latency or lag is really noticeable. So that is supposed to help a lot. I haven't tried it yet, but who knows. Low persistence, so we're looking at 2 milliseconds, 3 milliseconds, or full, which is going to be really interesting. That's coming in with the OLED display being able to switch on and off, so that there isn't a frame sitting there for a really long time. This comes in, again, any amount of latency or lag is very noticeable when it's that close to your face, and when you're that when the presence is that high, when you're that ingrown in this thing, if there's any amount of latency, it feels really weird. Your brain is going to have issues with that, so that's probably going to help it as well. It's going to have a gyroscope, accelerometer, and a magnetometer, which is not super surprising, and a built-in latency tester, which is actually really cool. So this is going to be motion to pixel, essentially. So
you better explain exactly what that means.
So if you move, and there's supposed to be motion in the game, how long does it take for that to actually appear on the screen? Because that's going to feel really weird, and that's going to really disconnect you from the experience. If you go like this, and it takes a few seconds, and it's like, and that's the main reason why people liked Oculus already, was a lot of VR experiences in the past had this issue where you'd turn and then it would catch up, and it would kind of like, this actually happened, where you'd turn, and then it would go like past your vision because it's predicting, and then it would like slot back. You'd turn, it just did this thing all the time. So that was already really good, and now it's supposed to be a lot better. So that's going to help a lot. There's the external camera, which we saw in Crystal Cove. So it has tracking IR LEDs all across the front. Now there's problems with this, and this has been voiced by a lot more people than just me. But especially in games like Valkyrie, if you want to flip over in Valkyrie, so you go like this, and there's tracking IR LEDs, camera sitting right in front of you, and you take all those IR LEDs and go, nope, you can't see them anymore, there's probably going to be issues. I've played roller coaster games where I've done a 180 in my chair. The camera can no longer see my IR LEDs. There's going to be some interesting stuff with this, and that comes into a quote from Palmer saying, DK2, Development Kit 2, is really for developers. It's not for consumers. We don't need consumers to buy this. We don't want consumers to buy this because the consumer version is really going to be so much better. I'm buying one, and I've recommended some people buy them, but...
That was based on the rumors that DK2 was going to be pretty darn close to the release version.
That was partially based on that, yes, and it's based on the main people that I'm recommending it to are people that are going to just play with it a lot no matter what, and they'll get a lot of usage out of it, so it'll be okay. But don't buy this expecting for everything to be like sugar and cream. It's not all just going to work out of the gate. There isn't a ton of things that work really well with it yet. You're going to be playing a lot of tech demos, or not playing with it. There's going to be a lot of things that are different with the release version, and he wants to make that clear. He crushed expectations on multiple platforms of people saying that that DK2 is going to be the same thing as the release version, which I actually thought was fairly true because most of the rumors have been fairly true so far, and that was a pretty big rumor. One thing that they're interested in doing is making integrated audio because they're tired of big clunky headphones. Again, with the Valkyrie idea, if you flip your head over and your headphones fall off, that's really immersion breaking. That being said, it's going to increase the cost, and I'm probably just going to want to replace them. So,
Right.
I don't know. Hopefully they maybe have a model that doesn't have it built in. That's going to be
I doubt
on the consumer version. So maybe, but again, I also doubt it. It's probably going to be on every single one.
They'll probably go Model T style. You can have any color you want as long as it's black.
Yeah, yeah. So like, wouldn't be surprised if that's a thing at all. But we'll see. It is definitely going to be removable. That is something that he said. So you can take them off or just not use them or something.
Because
Like,
I'd want to use my own earbuds.
yeah, your own earbuds or your own headphones if you come up with some solution so they don't fly off your head or something like that. Like, people are going to want to do their own thing.
Yeah.
He realizes that. He knows that. He's a audio freak anyways.
My headphones would probably be kind of awesome because like it comes like this, like it doesn't sit in the same spot as the headband, and they clamp quite tight.
Yeah, so like it might work. Mine won't at all. Mine will go flying right off my head. So
Right.
I know I'll have to figure something out, but I'll probably just wear earbuds. So
Okay.
like I don't know, not a big deal, but like, yeah, guys, don't necessarily go rush and buy this. I know a lot of people did. A lot of people that I sit in the TeamSpeak with and talk on the after party with have like all bought it. And I'm like, guys, maybe no.
All right, our last topic of the day. Walmart announces video game trade-in program for store credits. So I guess the advantage of trading in your games at Walmart versus anywhere else is that you can buy whatever you want with the credit you get. You could go in and literally trade Super Smash Brothers for eggs if you really, really wanted to. And then since you're like a Smash Brothers player, you'd probably want to like throw them at people or something. Do they have eggs in Smash? I don't think so. I don't know where I was going with that. I know they don't have eggs in Smash Brothers.
Well, there could, isn't there that one character?
Who's an egg character?
The
The last one I played was Brawl, so
I don't remember.
anyway,
Oh.
not the point. Games, but not consoles, can be traded, and they actually started this pilot program back in 2009, and you need the retail box for the game, so folks trading in much older games are probably still going to need to go to GameSpot or something like that, and the program for the resale of used games that come in is not open yet, but is going to be coming later this year, but employees are able to buy them already. The average credit payout per game is $35. Which seems like something that they're bragging about now, but will not be able to sustain later.
Yeah.
Because they have to make money on it, otherwise how is this going to work?
And we lied, and there's another topic.
Do you want to talk about this at all, or are you able to?
Able to?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, the thing that... Are you able to talk about it?
I have. Oh no.
Okay, forget it. Okay, so WildStar, there's a
I was like,
there's a
what?
20% coupon code pre-order. I guess that's all we really have to say. Guys, thank you for watching the show. If you are wondering if there will be a garage sale after the show where we get rid of some stuff on the cheap, yes, there will be. That is one of the things that will be in the garage sale today. So stay tuned. And
before we go,
oh,
just so everyone knows, the build logs submissions thread will be closed soon. There's exactly 2 because people saw them and were like, I give up. So, pretty sure we know who's gonna win next week. Come on, guys. Anyways, yeah, bye.
I'll be back in a minute.